America is largely not racially divided. Largely, everyone gets along, everyone's cool. There is a small percentage, I don't know how small, but there's going to be people who hate other people for their skin color. That affects every ethnicity against every other ethnicity, some more than others. Biden says things that are so evil and so dark. I don't know if I've heard any race say it about another race in America as much as I've heard Biden say it in this commencement speech. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. We're going to have a clip at the end of Ben Carson kind of explaining why he believes the black voters are all turning to Trump. It's great reason and great logic. But first, let's watch Joe Biden soil himself figuratively and perhaps literally as he gives this graduate address at Morehouse College in Georgia. Remember, this is a battleground state. He's trying to win votes on this. He thinks this is what black people want to hear.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race.
To call those riots a reckoning on race, or that trial even, I don't believe George Floyd was murdered in cold blood. I believe a cop overstepped his boundaries on proper arrest procedures. I don't think his goal was to kill George Floyd, which is what a murder would have to be.
It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street.
And here Biden is ready to throw off democracy, going, what's democracy if black men are being killed on the street? What does democracy have to do with black people being killed in the street? How about all of the Democrats, speaking of democracy, defunding the police, persecuting the police if they feel like they'd get in trouble if they arrest minorities? So they do catch and release. No one wants to touch them. You basically have chaos right now in the streets of Chicago. I'm seeing videos. It ain't pretty, guys. It's bad in America. But it's over that racial division. Biden's going to imply that it's all white people causing this against blacks.
What is democracy? Betrayal of broken promises still leave black communities behind.
Oh, it's our fault. We left the black communities behind. By the way, more racism today than 1950, because in 1950, you had a lower crime rate, lower murder rate, higher parents raising their own kids, higher business communities, owners of small businesses among black communities in the 1950s. So whoever's leaving the blacks behind, I'd love to know how Biden thinks I'm the cause of that. This is insane. This is fomenting racism, even in a way that Barack Obama never did. Biden is 10 times worse. He's 10 times worse than Cornel West, 10 times worse than Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. Put them all together. Hakeem Jeffries, put them all together on their racial rhetoric. It is not as bad as what Biden is spouting here in public.
What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot.
For victims, you have to be 10. What black person has to be 10 times better at what he does? I just don't know what he's talking about. This whole victim mentality, you heard some of this from Fannie Willis too, that we have to work harder, to get the same props and respect. I don't think that's true at all. Not in the legal community. Ben Carson himself is coming up at the end. Now, he is the world's greatest brain surgeon, and he's probably 100 times better than the average white guy. And you'll still have the Democrat Party hold him down. Clarence Thomas is probably 10 times the legal scholar of a white lawyer. And the Democrat Party, the Bidens of the world, hold him down, though he's 10. Because guess what? To all black conservatives out there, you can be 10 times better and it still won't be enough because of your ideology. I'm 10 times better than many artists. And because I'm a conservative, there's no way I'm getting a job in Hollywood. And you know what? it doesn't keep me up at night. I don't really care about the unfairness. I was taught by people like Booker T. Washington, when the world's unfair, work harder. The market will work it all out at some point. Someone with self-interest wants your talent to come and work for them, and they want to make money off of you. That's the basics of marketing. That's the basics of economics.
Most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
You can be a white person that loves your country. It's not going to love you back in equal measure either. It's not my country's job to love me. It's my job to love my country. I am blessed to be here. Never forget that. I would not trade positions with any person of any other country. They say that if you're born in America, you were born at the finish line. You win. You won the life lottery. My daughters, okay, go look at someone's daughters who's born where they have to wear a hijab or a burqa, or they can't drive, or they can't be educated. I don't care how much my country loves me. It's how much I love, respect, and build up my country. And that's why I love what Black patriots and Black conservatives do for the country versus white or Black liberals that tear our country apart.
Man, nay, as a human being, to call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip.
That's Biden not even knowing where he is. That's the most pained face as he applauds an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, basically agreeing with Palestine and Hamas in public. Remember when the Democrats said they were going to heal our position in the world? Biden, how you doing with Israel? And look, here's Donald Trump. They're announcing he's coming to South Bronx. They love him.
Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. Trump, 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 Trump,
Okay, I just want to stop on a couple of these signs because this is about Hochul, in New York. It's the Bronx, not the Bronx. That's because white Democrat women, when they go and talk to the Bronx, they start taking on their affectation, thinking that's what Blacks want to hear. The Bronx. You've heard Hillary do this. They start talking like Martin Luther King, as if Blacks are going to look at a white Democrat and say, oh, good job. Yeah, you're speaking our language. Here's my favorite sign, though. Young Black, this is a quote from Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York. Young Black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know what a computer is. That's what Democrats. Now, she apologized for that statement, and she ought to have. But that's the default mode of Democrats. Here's a Black gentleman turning his back on Joe Biden's commencement address.
All hope was lost. In our lives, in the lives of the nation, we have those Saturdays to bear witness, the day before glory.
And then here's CNN. They're bringing in Ben Carson to explain, Ben, why are these Blacks turning to Trump? Can you explain? They want him to translate like he's from another planet.
I think, Black Americans are no different than any other Americans. They feel the pinch of the inflation. They know what it feels like when they have to go fill up their gas tank. They see the crime that's running rampant, that repeat offenders are being let out of prison and endangering them and their neighborhoods.
I like how Dr. Ben Carson has to explain the basics. Going, I think Black Americans are the same as all Americans. And Jake Tapper's going, what? Really? They are? I thought they were from another planet. This is CNN and the left. Even if Blacks get a raw deal, let's say from whites on their race, at some point you're going to go to a gas pump and pay double for gas. The gap of being under a liberal president is even worse than the oppression you'd get for being Black. You know what? There's nothing more oppressive. In fact, whites get to suffer just like Blacks under liberals like Biden. We all get to pay double for our groceries. It's like I'm living under a totalitarian rule where they jack the prices up on me unfairly, on my people. I pay double for my gas prices. I have less job opportunities. I might as well be Black.
They see what's happening with the border and how that's impacting their own communities, how other people's issues are being put on the front burners and theirs are being put on the back burners. I think those are the issues that are pushing them toward.
There you go, Jake Tapper got an education. Of course, he does not care about who's oppressed under Biden, whom he will vote for. He doesn't care. He's listened to all this suffering by Ben Carson. Jake Tapper, who's he going to vote for? Not Trump. He doesn't want to change the trajectory for minorities in America. He wants to double down and keep going with that Biden plan, what he just said at that commencement speech, that y'all are getting ripped off and held down by my community. That's Jake Tapper, and that's Biden, and that's the Democrats' answer. The Bronx rejects it. Most Black conservatives reject it. Minorities, Blacks, and Hispanics are coming to Trump in unprecedented numbers, probably since Nixon, since the 1960s, early 70s. And by the way, to all the white racists out there, you're going to be able to thank Blacks and Hispanics for putting Trump in office. So even if you're for Trump for all the wrong reasons, guess who's going to end up putting him in the White House? It's going to be minorities, because that man ain't heavy. He's my brother. I'm Doug in Exile.